If you're getting your church's budget ready, we know it can be a little stressful. We recommend you follow these tips, or what we like to call church budget commandments, to ensure that it's set up correctly. These tips are relevant whether you use ChurchTrac or not. Tip number 1, use categories, not funds. When setting up your budget, organize it by categories. That's what I'm showing on the screen now. Sometimes these are called a chart of accounts, but you'll notice that there aren't any funds listed here, only this church's categories for their expenses. This helps ensure clarity as you track your income and your expenses. Because a fund is just a place to hold the money once you give it a purpose. Funds are not what you're budgeting. You're budgeting how much money you expect to bring in and how much you expect to spend. Tip number 2, project your income and your expenses. Your budget should only reflect anticipated undesignated, specifically undesignated income for the upcoming year and planned expenses based on that income. Nothing more, nothing less. Tip number 3, only budget general income and expenses. When budgeting income, only include general income categories linked to your general fund. In this budget, they just have the general offerings category that they're tracking for their income, and that's it. Exclude all designated income, as those funds are set aside for specific purposes and should be managed separately. Likewise, only include expense categories linked to your general fund. That's what these expense categories are on this budget. Exclude all expenses tied to designated funds, since those are outside the scope of your budget. You will only budget money or bills out of your general income to begin with. Tip number 4, think of your budget as a roadmap. This is less of an action to take and more of just a perspective to have about your budget. Your budget is just an agreed upon financial plan that directs how your church will spend undesignated income throughout the year. That's actually a pretty good definition of a church budget. Treat it as a guiding star to keep finances aligned with your ministry's goals. Tip number 5, plan for the entire year, not monthly. Church budgets are different than your personal budgets because church budgets are designed for annual financial planning, not month-to-month tracking. Now, I know that these tips have more to do with church budgets and not just ChurchTrac, but just as an example, in ChurchTrac, you can display the values from month to month just to track your progress, but the budget is designed for an annual perspective. Now, you should be checking your budget regularly to make sure you're following your agreed upon financial plan, but monthly budgeting is not the goal. Your budget should always reflect progress year to date from the start of the fiscal year rather than individual months. You can't make a monthly budget for a church because income and expenses fluctuate greatly from one month to the next. You have to keep an annual perspective when planning and tracking your budget. Tip number 6, ignore last year's leftover funds. I know this one's big, and it kind of blows people away when we say it because they want to know what to do with all of these leftover monies. But just put some away in savings for a rainy day, or divide it up amongst your ministries and programs. But your budget should focus only on new or projected income and expenses, not leftover money from previous years. Past surpluses are great, obviously, but are separate and should not be factored into the budgeting process. That's because money a program currently has in its hands is different than money it expects to raise or spend this year. Your budget should reflect that understanding. Tip number 7, include all bank accounts. Your church budget should account for all church bank accounts. You cannot limit the budget to just the money in one bank account if you use multiple accounts for your church's finances. Tip number 8, use rounded numbers. This one's kind of a small tip, but we see this or get a lot of questions about it from church leaders. But don't stress over fractions of a dollar. Remember, a budget is just a snapshot or like a 30,000-foot view of your church's undesignated income and expenses from an annual perspective. A few pennies won't make a difference one way or another. Keeping track of your pennies is done with your accounting software as you record income and expenses, not the budget tool. The accounting tool is where you get very specific and very precise. Also, this keeps your reports clean and easy to read, which is a really big reason you have a budget in the first place. Tip number 9, create a separate budget for your designated funds. Now, I've said that the budget is not for designated monies a few times in this video, but if you still want to track your designated income and expenses, just create a separate budget for them. But remember, this will not track the same money as your main budget for undesignated funds, so make sure that you don't include the same categories in the designated budget over the general budget. Blessed are those who follow these 9 commandments, for they shall inherit an effective budget for their church. And that's all for today's budgeting tips. If you have questions, send us a support ticket or visit churchtrac.com/support. See you in the next pro tip.